Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another session of Perspective 360 Degree, where we are going to do current affair related answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. And before we begin the session, I hope my voice is audible to everyone. Just confirm it in the chat box if I'm audible to all of you. Yes. So, audio, video, everything is fine. So, let us begin. And the topic that we are going to cover today is orange economy, right? And why we are covering this topic? Because it was there as a part of Prime Minister Modi's speech. Apart from that, it was also discussed as a part of the budget, right? The recent 2026 budget, and multiple editorials were written on it. So we are going to cover it from descriptive papers point of view, and we will understand different aspects, different relevant aspects with respect to orange economy. Now, this is the expected question for today that discuss the significance of the orange economy and examine the initiatives undertaken by India to promote it, right? So you have to write the answer to this question in the comment box, which is going to be evaluated by our team, right? So make sure that you're writing your answers, and it is going to help you in answer writing practice, and free of cost evaluation is also there. So discuss the significance of the orange economy and examine the initiatives undertaken by India to promote it. Now, first of all, of course, we are going to discuss the importance, the significance of orange economy, and after that, we are going to see some key important initiatives taken by India in this direction. But before that, if we put some light that what do we exactly mean by orange economy? So, orange economy is also known as creative economy. Orange economy is also known as creative economy. Now, if we talk about orange economy, what happens as a part of it is that basically it creates an ecosystem of economic activities where the creativity, creativity and cultural expressions, they get transformed into values, goods and services. Right? So this is, I would say, the main crux behind this orange economy. Because normally what happens is that when we talk about economy, when we hear this word economy, what comes to our mind? Usually I would say, if we talk about the traditional economy, as a part of it, basically, usually we think about physical raw material, right? Physical raw material, or I should say the tangible goods that are there, or maybe different type of services, even if it is intangible. But let me tell you that if I talk about this orange economy primarily relies upon the human intelligence and imagination. That is the main idea about the orange economy, that how it transforms idea, creativity and cultural expression into values, goods and services. Right? So this is the basic idea. For example, it can include multiple types of things. It can include, I would say, different type of activities such as animation. It can include filmmaking. It can include, I would say, gaming. It can include audiovisual media, right? Which is a part of filmmaking only, right? AV media. It can include, I would say, radio also. That can be a part of it. It can include design. For example, the architecture, right? It can include the, I would say, softwares also. Softwares also as a part of it. So different sort of things can be there as a part of this orange economy. It's a very broad term, and I will share with you the contribution of orange economy also with respect to the exports, with respect to the projection, right? All the sort of things we are going to see, but I hope the broad overview is clear to you, that what exactly do we understand by this term orange economy, right? Now let us try to, based on this idea, let us try to see the introduction with respect to the question that we have for today regarding the significance and the initiatives. So you can write the introduction accordingly, that orange economy, which is also known as creative economy, it is defined as a group of linked activities through which ideas are transformed into cultural goods and services with their value determined primarily by intellectual property, right? And you can also add the context of the recent budget, as I told you that it was discussed as a part of the recent 2026 budget. So you can add that context also, that in budget 2026 the government further consolidated this sector sector's importance by classifying it as a sunrise sector, an emerging sector, right? Emphasizing a shift from service-oriented model to an intellectual property-driven growth model. And as of 2026, orange economy is one of the fastest growing sectors globally, contributing roughly 3 to 6% of global GDP, right? And it has a huge potential to contribute as a part of the domestic economies as well as the global economy, right? So that is about orange economy. Now let us move on to the body part and let us discuss the importance of the orange economy for India. Now the first point with respect to importance is regarding its export potential. Now when we talk about exports over here, right? When we talk about exports, usually when we talk about exports, we usually connect the exports with the physical items, right? The physical goods that are exported from one country to another. But when we talk about creative economy, in context to exports, creative economy is about the intangible exports. The intangible exports that are there. For example, VFX, for example, software, for example, music, right? All such sort of things. So when I say export in context to creative economy, so over here basically these invisible intangibles, they become the gold mine, right? So that is what we understand by the export potential over here. And let me tell you very clearly that the creative sector is a key source of foreign exchange earnings, and in 2023 to 2024, creative exports increased by 20%, surpassing $11 billion. You can see this is a very big number, surpassing $11 billion, right? So this is a very big number, and this shows what? This basically shows that creative economy, this creative sector, it has a huge contribution. It has a huge contribution with respect to our current account. You understand current account, capital account, right? So it has a huge contribution with respect to a current account. And unlike physical goods, if I talk about this creative economy or this intangible goods, right? So basically they have no shipping costs. They have no shipping cost. That is the first set of advantage. Apart from that, they do not have, or they have very low carbon footprint, right? So the carbon footprint is also very low in this case, right? That adds another advantage over here. So this is the best part about this creative economy. So the government needs to focus more and more so that we can extract the maximum potential out of it. I hope this point is clear to everyone. Now let us move on to the point number 2. Now the point number 2 is regarding the job creation, right? So as a talent driven sector, it provides employment to over 10 million people, both directly and indirectly. When I say directly, I mean to say that direct livelihood opportunities, for example, for the artists, right? For the writers, for the, I would say, directors, right? Different type of stakeholders that are there. And when I talk about indirect employment, right? Indirect employment can include, for example, the event managers. That can be a good example. The event managers that are there. Now, when an event happens, just try to imagine that, for example, if a concert is happening, it is not just a concert. It is going to have an impact over that entire region, right, where that concert is happening. So who is going to get benefited in this case? So it can benefit the hotels also, right? The hotel staffs, another sort of employment that can be generated in such areas. Apart from that, don't forget the modern digital marketing services. Digital marketing services, that can be another indirect form of employment that can be created as a result of this orange economy, right? So that is why you can see it provides employment to over 10 million people, both directly and indirectly. The next point is leveraging cultural heritage, right? Because this orange economy, it serves as a means to convert India's rich cultural heritage and diversity into tangible economic value. What do you mean by that? So for example, 5 days of Jaipur Literature Festival, it generates more than 100 crore of the global economy. How is it so? Because as I told you, when these kind of festivals happen, these type of concerts happen, right? So they basically have the ripple effect. They have the economic ripple effect in that region, right? And because of this, what happens basically, the static capital that is there, it gets converted into the flowing capital, right? So for example, if such a type of event, for example, Jaipur Literature Festival, if this is happening, so who is going to get benefited? Apart from this festival, basically it is going to create the benefit for the hotels also, right? It is going to create the benefit for the local handicrafts also, right? It can create the benefit for the transport sector also, right? For example, the airlines, right? The airline traffic, it is going to get increased, right? So different kind of ripple effect can be there, different sort of ripple effect can be there as a part of the economy, right? And that is why basically this Jaipur festival that you can see, it generates more than 100 crore of the local economy, right? So this is just a small example of that, just to tell you that how it basically leverages the cultural heritage. Now the next one. Now the next one is regarding building soft power, right? So it says that around 25% of the total viewership of Indian OTT content comes from international audiences, right? Which helps in building strong cultural and emotional connections worldwide, right? So what do you mean by soft power? Soft power basically means to persuade other countries through appeal and attraction. Through appeal and attraction. For example, the movies that are from Indian cinema, right? Apart from that, I would say the music that is there, right? The folk art that is there, all the sort of things, they are nothing, they are a part of our soft power, right? So it says that around 25% of the total viewership of Indian OTT content, it comes from international audiences, right? So you can see the potential of this creative sector over here in enabling and in building our soft power, right? For example, when a web series is released in India, right? For example, Daily Crimes, for example, whatever it is, if it is any movie like Three Idiots, so it is watched by international audience also, which basically generates the soft power. It helps in generating or building or enhancing the soft power of India. The next one, youth and women driven. So this is also, I would say, another important parameter, another important, I would say, significance of this orange economy, because globally 23% of sector's workforce, it falls in 15 to 29 age group, right? So 23% of this sectors, of this creative sector's workforce, it fall in the age group of 15 to 29 years. You can see the impact that is having on the youth, right? Be it through YouTube, be it through Instagram, कोई भी social media app ले लो, youth is highly active, right? So it basically brings a part of it, a part of the workforce, right? And this is the highest among all sectors. So no other sector is there that is such a high contribution of youth. And apart from that, if we talk about women, so women account for 45% of creative occupations, right? So if I tell you the crux about it, the crux can be understood with one term, and that one term is digital democratization, right? Digital democratization that is enabled through this creative economy, right? Through this creative sector. So that is, I would say, is another set of advantage or significance of it, right? So those type of people who come from tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities, right, who have less avenues of opportunities, they can also enter this creative sector through these gates like YouTube, Instagram, also sort of things which are very easily accessible, right? So that is why you can see the impact as a part of this workforce also, that 23% of the sector's workforce, it falls in the age of 15 to 29 years, right, which is a youthful age. So that is the idea about it. The next one, last point. The last point is regarding cost competitiveness. Now this is regarding India. Now India is doing very well over here. We are focusing a lot, right? Because I would say, if we talk about the services that are provided by India in context to this creative sector, services like VFX, right, editing, all such sort of things, they are cheaper. They are cheaper as compared to the developed countries, right? So a lot of time what happens is that the foreign movies that are there, foreign movies like Avatar, Game of Thrones, right? So these movies, what they have done, a lot of projects were outsourced to big Indian cities like Bangalore, right? Big Pune, cities like Pune, which are basically the hub of this creative sector, right? When it comes to VFX services, also sort of things, because we have that skill level. So that basically increases the importance of India and competitiveness of India at the global level, right? So it says that India offers 40 to 60% cost advantage in animation and VFX service, supported by large and skilled workforce. This advantage has enabled India to evolve from an outsourcing destination into a preferred hub for high value creative collaborators, including major productions like Avatar and Game of Thrones, right? So you can see the potential over here that the India carries with respect to cost competitiveness also. Now the next one, the next is the body part 2, which is regarding the key initiatives that have been taken by India. And the first initiative that you need to know is basically Indian Institute of Creative Technologies, right? So this was launched in Mumbai as the National Center of Excellence for AVGC. AVGC means audio visual gaming and comics, right? So it has been launched in 2024 only, right? Very recently in Mumbai. And let me tell you that it is a kind of, I would say, specialized institution that is there, right? That basically strengthens India's capacity with respect to this AVGC through the skill development, through the innovation, through research, right? Also, sort of training is conducted. These ideas are conducted as a part of this IICT, right? So a very premium and a very important institution, right? With respect to virtual production, with respect to AI filmmaking, all this sort of things, all this sort of skill development happens over here. The next one is film facilitation and anti-piracy. Now, as the name suggests, right? So this is through Cinematograph Amendment Act 2023 that introduced anti-piracy provisions to protect film industry and digital intellectual property, right? And it provides for imprisonment, also penalties, also there are strict penalties there. Anyone who is breaching these provisions, right, related to copying, related to recording, right, transmission of films, also sort of things. So basically it protects the innovation and the creativity of the creators, right? So that is the intent behind it. The next is India Cine Hub. This is important, and you should know that. You should know that because earlier what used to happen, for example, let us say if there is a certain type of film and that film shooting has to happen in a public park, right? Or maybe in a monument. An old monument is there. For example, you must have watched that movie Jodha Akbar, right? So for this Jodha Akbar movie, Amer Fort in Jaipur, it was used, right? Now, apart from that, it can be different sort of things. For example, it can be, I would say, railway stations also. You must have seen movie shootings happening in the railway stations, airport, in these public places. Now, do you think all these things, all this shooting and all, it can happen without permission? The answer is no, right? The answer is no. The government's permission, the authorities' permission is something that is mandatory in this case. But how does it happen? So earlier, if a director is there or the producer is there, if they have to take the permission for shooting the film, so they had to take the permission from different departments, right? For example, archaeological department, right? Whatever different departments are there that are associated with these places, right? Now, what has happened? The government has brought the reform over here, and the government has formed something called India Cine Hub, right? Now, what is this India Cine Hub? This India Cine Hub, this is a single window digital platform. Over here, what can happen? Over here, what can happen? Whatever permission that you want related to filming, right? Related to film shooting, you can take it over here, right? On the at the single platform only. You don't have to go here and there to different departments, to different authorities. That is equivalent to harassment, right? It wastes a lot of time. So, in order to get rid of that, we have established this, we have designed this India Cine Hub, which is a single window digital platform to simplify the process of obtaining film shooting permissions in India, right? And it also aims to bring together information on production related incentives, making India a more accessible and attractive destination for domestic and international filmmakers, right? So that is something and another initiative so that we can boost creative economy, the creative sector as a part of the country, right? So that there are lesser and lesser hurdles. Now the next one. The next one is National Broadcasting Policy. Now, this is very easy to understand, right? This is just a policy that has been launched by the government, and I would say not just a random policy, but an impactful policy that has been launched. And what is the purpose? The purpose is basically to create a modern, inclusive, growth-oriented framework for India's broadcasting sector, right? And it focuses upon content diversity also. When I say content diversity, I mean to say that the regional languages that are there, the regional music that is there, the regional culture that is there, right? All these different sort of things, they are able to find global stage. This is also, I would say, is one of the priorities of this national broadcasting policy, right? So that is what you can see it over here, that it focuses upon content diversification, right? So this is what we understand by content diversification. Fair competition among the different production houses, right? Small production houses and the large production houses. Then technological upgradation, then ease of doing business and increased investment in the broadcasting ecosystem. And it aligns with the Viksit Bharat vision also, because this policy aligns with the goal of making the digital sector that contribute nearly 20% to India's GDP by 2030, right? So this is a target, this is the goal with which we are trying to align this creative sector. So I hope this is also clear. Now the last point is waves, right? Now waves is also an impactful initiative of India, right, by Ministry of Broadcasting. And the point is that basically, if I talk about waves, when this wave was designed, what was the mindset? The mindset is basically to design these waves equivalent to World Economic Forum for the creative business, right? That is the thing that we are aspiring for. This is the impact that we want to create at the global level through these waves, which is basically World Audio Video and Entertainment Summit, right? So this summit recently it was conducted in Mumbai in 2025, right? And over there, let me tell you that something called Waves Declaration. Waves Declaration, this declaration was also adopted, where basically, as a part of this declaration, different governments and different institutions who had participated, they basically took the pledge with respect to intellectual property rights, right? And apart from that, creative collaboration also. We should promote more and more creative collaboration, not just at the domestic level, not just at the domestic level, but at the global stage also. So this is something that was done as a part of this Waves Declaration. That was the event that was conducted in Mumbai recently in the year 2025 only, right? So that is the idea. So if I read it for you, so Wave serves as a major convergence platform for policymakers, industrial leaders, creators, investors, and technological stakeholders. It brings together key segments such as film, television, OTT, animation, VFX, games, XR industries, with the objective of promoting collaboration, innovation, investment, and India's positioning in the media and entertainment sector. So this is the goal, and this is what we are doing, and this is the impact. You can see the vision of India regarding this sector. We are very serious about it. एक बार ये goals को ध्यान से देखो. National Broadcasting Policy for the domestic issues, right? World Audio and Visual Entertainment Summit, right? So that basically India can represent its soft power at the global stage also. So this is the vision of India that we are trying to promote, and hopefully we will be able to maximize our potential very soon, right? Now, lastly, we have the conclusion. So the orange economy represents the infinite opportunities for the 21st century by integrating technology with a traditional cultural depth. India is positioned to move from being the world's back office for VFX to its creative engine as envisioned in the recent budgetary frameworks, right? So we have already discussed, and I hope it was helpful. And this is the question, the answer of which you have to write in the comment box, and it is going to get evaluated by our team, right? So I hope it is clear to everyone, right? Try to write the answer in your own words, do not copy paste. Just see the heading. You can just see the heading. For example, if you're reading this point, export potential, you can use the data, no doubt regarding that, but rest of the explanation you should write by yourself. I've already given you the explanation in a detailed manner, right? You can use that explanation, but try to write it in your own words. Then only I would say you will be able to get comfortable, uh, uh, with the challenge that you face regarding the expression of knowledge, right? So that is the only way to tackle it. So make sure that you are writing everything in your own word as a part of the comment box. So that is it from my end. Thank you so much and all the best. Somebody is asking, I saw your previous lecture, there was one question asked in 2025 finance section. Piyush, are you talking about last year finance question? Are you talking about perspective 360 degree? That question was asked in the examination. Are you talking about that? ऑल राइट. सो आई थिंक उसी की बात कर रहे हो. तो एक क्वेश्चन नहीं तो और भी कुछ क्वेश्चन है, तो आप देखोगे आपको मिल जाएंगे, बट देखने की जरूरत नहीं है. ठीक है, जितना अभी आगे के लिए करना है वही करो, पीछे जाके क्या मिलेगा. ठीक है, सो दैट्स व्हाट यू कैन डू, बट hopefully it was helpful. So that is it from my end. Thank you so much and all the best. And the PDF of the same you can download from the Telegram channel. Okay, it was asked in 2025. Okay, okay.